Welcome to another bone-splintering episode of Fearless TV, the program that makes the return journey from oblivion once a week with no free seats. Coming up the next half hour, we'll bust some big air motocross in the stillness of the desert. We'll show you how not to become friends with your snowmobile. And we get seriously churning some massive barrels. Helmets on, it's Fearless TV. First up, we're back to Thredbo for the continuation of the downhill titles. Marcus Lovett.
Joel Panozzo, Mount Beauty legend, had a tough semi to get to the final. Himself, just out of the junior division, was seriously challenged by Australian top under-19 rider Nathan Rennie. Nathan pushed hard at every opportunity, not letting Joel out of his sight. The more experienced Mount Beauty rider kept his lead throughout the race, unable to shake the continuing onslaught of the talented junior. Close all the way to the end, with Nathan leading his sprint just a little too late. Chris Buss, the lowest ranked finalist, seemed to take it easy in the semi-final. He followed top rider Ryan Lennox down the top section, waiting for his opportunity. Ryan faltered, Chris seized the lead, then continued to move ahead all the way to the finish. Back to the top for the big boys final. All were psyched and there was no mucking about. The takeoff is strong. Joel, Sean and Grant pushed for the lead, with Chris having a more reserved start. Joel wins the start with Sean closely behind and Grant in third, with Chris bringing up the rear. In this fast section, they're reaching speeds in excess of 80 kilometres an hour. Coming into the Amber Holiday switchbacks, Sean is now first, with Joel fighting back and Grant happy to follow the fighting duel. These three guys are pushing their limits, but where's Chris? Unfortunately, Chris suffers a major occupational hazard, a flat tyre, and is forced to retire. Meanwhile, back at the lead, Sean is just ahead of Joel and Grant appears to be losing ground. Joel is not letting Sean have this race, and Grant certainly isn't going to let the boys get too far away. Three riders enter the wooded section on the lower part of this 4.2 kilometre course, but only one exits victoriously. Grant, who is sitting in third, is now in the lead with no one in sight. Finally, Sean emerges from the woods ahead of Joel. Grant Day rolls across the finishing line to be the winner of the men's Raw NRG Dual Eliminator. Sean McCarroll monos across the line for second place, and Joel Panozzo comes in third.
Time now on Fearless TV to get into some serious airborne motocross action. This is about the most expressive an expression session can get. Many miles away from the nearest motocross track on some big ass sand dunes in the desert, where the height of the air is only restricted by nerve and imagination. Suspension on current motocross bikes is able to deal with just about anything, and on full load in sandy conditions, maximum height is determined only by takeoff speed. The dunes are a favourite spot for many of today's motocross stars when not racing. And apart from huge airtime, are also a good spot to practice the latest variations of Supermans or rodeos with the possibility of a sandy step-off. There's nothing better than the chance to blast through thousands of feet of untracked powder with fresh alpine breezes clearing your senses. The feeling of skiing in your own personal section of the mountain at your own leisure is hard to beat, and is only topped by an ability to choose your particular piece of terrain from the comfort of the chopper. Heli skiing and boarding is not a new venture by any stretch of the imagination, but for those who have never been transported out of reach and earshot of the masses, well away from the ever-growing lift queues and the endless pile of beginners clogging up runs they have no ability to ski, it's well worth the effort and cost. Each year, the heli tour companies are combining a larger variation of packages. With more expert guidance and with their growing experience, the skiable terrain increases exponentially. Enough talk now. Time to weight the skis or back of the board and carve some clean lines before the sun sets on another perfect day.
and torch went out.
Here's a novel way of testing the suspension setup and front end dynamics of your particular model of snowmobile. Pick the steepest drop-off you can find and open the throttle. The New Zealand Alps offer some of the most spectacular climbing terrain in the Southern Hemisphere, along with some of the most breathtaking views. Along with around 10,000 vertical feet of climbing at relatively low altitudes, the technical aspect of many of the climbs in this region is still high. Attention to equipment and safety is of utmost importance, as conditions here, like any alpine region, can change dramatically in a short period of time. Fitness and strength of those taking part is also a crucial factor, as in many instances the climber's weight is supported solely by an ice axe, and there is a constant danger of avalanches or slab slides, which occur when a large section of ice is dislodged beneath the snow, taking away a large section of the platform just below the surface.
You don't want to fall here. One false step will throw that crevasse down there. What?
Lightly covered rock surfaces hidden beneath a covering of snow also increase the level of difficulty to gain footholds, and the snow depth and stability need to be constantly checked. More short lessons in the art of surfing big breaks. What generally looks easy from the shore, and what you don't often see in the finished pictures, is the hammering surfers get on the paddle out, or when they are dumped or churned in a big pipe. One of the prerequisites of surfing breaks of the calibre of Pipeline and other equally massive spots is the ability to dive shallow and hold your breath for lengthy amounts of time, which could be anywhere up to 2 minutes. As many of the bigger waves formed in nature are shaped by reefs not far below the surface, there's an ever-present danger of being chomped by large pointy chunks of coral, and then further hammered by a few thousand pounds of water cranking violently just above. Spare a thought for the next guy you see being spat off a massive face or sucked into a churning barrel. On the subject of being able to surf objects slightly larger than your average 5-bedroom house with a double garage, the mission has become slightly easier in the last few years, thanks to someone's willingness to take a jet ski where few have ever been foolhardy enough to venture alone, let alone towing a passenger. The growing interest in tow and surfing, thanks to the commercial recognition of films such as IMAX's Extreme, tracing the exploits of legendary big wave surfers like Ross Clark-Jones, has brought a new breed of surfers to the massive offshore swells, along with more mainstream interest from those keen on testing their skills in the 40-foot plus conditions.